ut prosum, that I may serve. Today, the Corps is a premier, 4-year, full-time leadership development experience. Its mission is to graduate leaders of exemplary character who are instilled with the values and skills essential for leadership success in service to the nation. Cadets at Virginia Tech truly enjoy the best of both worlds, living a military lifestyle at a diverse research university that offers more than 150 bachelor's degree programs. From liberal arts to engineering, cadets are following their passions and preparing to bring positive change to the world. Our Citizen Leader Track cadets are pursuing careers in the public and private sectors and are in high demand by employers because of their adaptable leadership experience in the Corps. For those in the Military Leader Track, their Corps experience culminates in commissioning as an officer in the United States Armed Forces. As part of their training, cadets are expected to maintain a healthy lifestyle and to develop themselves physically as well as mentally. They are challenged to push boundaries and do things they've never done before, and they pay homage to our history.
Bring it in, bring it in, bring it in, bring it in, bring it in. Demonstrators, you ready? There you go.
Addison Caldwell was the first student to enroll in 1872. Each academic year, new cadets trace the 26-mile route he walked to enroll as the first cadet.
Throughout the year, cadets play a significant role in the university's traditions and at athletic events. As the heart of the Hokie Nation, the Corps embodies true Hokie spirit. In the spring, graduating seniors relinquish command of the Corps, and the junior class prepares to take on the responsibilities of leading the regiment in the fall. The values of the university and the Corps of Cadets are etched in the war memorial pylons that overlook Virginia Tech's drill field.
Brotherhood. Let no walls separate us from our fellow citizens.
Honor. Personal integrity will shield us from dishonor.
Leadership. If one adheres to these values, they will be qualified to say, "Follow me."
Sacrifice. True leaders must forego a life of ease.
Service. Leadership is about serving others in peace and in war.
Loyalty. Be faithful and true to the nation, the state, our community, and our home.
Duty. It is our solemn obligation to know what we must do and to do it.
The final pylon, ut prosum, that I may serve, is the very foundation of our university.
If you forge your life on these precepts, you will be successful in all you do.
Ready? Front.
Each year, young men and women from all over the world whose passion is to be accomplished leaders of exemplary character become members of the Virginia Tech Corps of Cadets. The path to graduation and commissioning is both challenging and exhilarating. While not an easy journey, it is a path to a meaningful life of service and to becoming a confident leader whose honor, ethics, and values are shaped by their Corps experience. With the complex challenges facing our nation and the world, now, more than ever, it is time for the Virginia Tech Corps of Cadets.
So with that overview in mind, let's turn to the organizational construct of the Corps of Cadets so you can become familiar with it. We use an Army model for the Corps, beginning with the regimental staff made up of our most senior cadets, overseeing the operations day-to-day of about 1,300. You'll see there are 3 battalions, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and within each of those there are companies of about 70 to 80 cadets made up of all 4 year groups. Now, I serve as the mentor to the regimental staff, and we have 3 deputy commandants, Colonel Craig Alia, Lieutenant Colonel Don Russell, and Captain James McGrath, who oversee the deputy commandant roles for each of the battalions. And they're very ably assisted by 3 senior enlisted advisors, Command Sergeant Major Dan Willey, Marine Master Gunnery Sergeant Lance Jones, and Army Sergeant Major David Combs. In addition, some other members of our staff, Ms. Lakita Miller, who oversees our administration activities. You'll get to know 2 residential learning coordinators who live with the Corps, Ms. Brooke Schmalhurst and Ms. Keely Weitzel. We have an executive officer, Miss Katie Mowry, and you're already familiar with Lieutenant Colonel Rewa Merriger, the Assistant Commandant for Recruiting. For those of you who will be involved with the regimental band, Senior Chief Petty Officer James Bean is our band director, and overseeing our museum collection and historic artifacts, Miss Samantha Riggin. We do all of this in partnership with the ROTC detachments, but it's important for you to understand that the ROTCs are separate organizations from the Corps. And so, if you have a scholarship question related to the ROTC program, you need to contact them. All other Corps-related activities, you want to refer to us. All right, so let's talk about your class, the class of 2025. What's interesting to note is over 27 years ago, the entire Corps would be around 350 cadets. Your class alone is going to be over 475, taking us to a new Corps high of 1,225 and more, our largest in over half a century. Your particular class comes from 35 states and territories and 3 countries, and when you add to that our upperclassmen, you'll see that those numbers swell to 39 states and 8 countries. And you see a breakout in-state versus out-of-state and female and male here. In terms of your class and the makeup for their different majors that you're interested in, you'll see that about 44% of you are interested in engineering majors, and the rest are spread around the pie chart as you see here. Now, when we finished up the last semester in May of 2021, we had about 39% of our cadets also enrolled in the Army ROTC program, about 22% Air Force, 20% in the Navy, 5% in a Marine Corps option, and the VPI or Citizen Leader Track, 15% represents about 200 plus of our cadets who are, rather than tracking toward a commission, are getting ready to take their leadership experience gained in the Corps to the private sector, the public sector, the government. So, as you may have gathered, there are 2 track options available to cadets in our Corps, a Military Leader Track and the Citizen Leader Track. Those who are in the Military Leader Track are, by definition, going to be also enrolled in one of the ROTC programs. Those of you in the Citizen Leader Tracks will be taking classes that we provide and preparing you for that public-private sector opportunity. What's unique about our program is you have the chance and the opportunity as years go by to alter your career paths, maybe changing which service or which track that you're in. And just to give you an idea of the wide variety of the types of jobs that our Citizen Leader Tracks can go into, you see some examples shown here. And usually by the time they're reaching graduation, 80% of our cadets in the Citizen Leader Track already have career-starting jobs before they even graduate. Okay, so let's now talk about where you fit in. How are you going to be joining this Corps organization? Well, during New Cadet Week in the first phase of training, roughly the first 6 weeks, you're going to be engaged by what we refer to as the cadre. That's going to be your company commander and your executive officer. Those are both seniors. The senior ranking junior in your company is the first sergeant, and they'll be overseeing the work of cadre sergeants. 2 to 3 of each of you as new cadets will be assigned to one of those cadre sergeants. Now, we've already introduced you to this construct of the 3 battalions and the companies within each. And so in this example, you might have all these new cadets would be associated with Alpha 25. And in turn, that will be part of Alpha Company during the academic year. Now, you might be wondering, well, how do I get assigned to the particular company that I'm going to be in? Well, it's not really magic, but we do have a process in place. In fact, it's already starting now. And over the course of the summer, we'll be building out which company you'll be assigned to and who roommates are going to be. You should be paying attention around the 6th of August on StarRes, and that's where you're going to get your room assignments, your building assignments, company assignments, roommate information, etc. Now, it's important when you get that information to reach out and connect with those roommates because you need to make some important decisions, not the least of which is which one of you is bringing the refrigerator and which one of you is going to bring the microwave. We don't want to end up with 2 of each. Now, I've mentioned the 3 phases of training. We've already talked about red phase. It's followed by white and blue phase. So red phase begins on move-in day, August 14th, and New Cadet Week. And that's going to continue through Caldwell March Part 1, which will take place on October 2nd. That's the first 13 miles of that 26 miles that was referred to in the video that you saw earlier. During red phase, each of you will be referred to as new cadets. Once you transition into white phase, your nomenclature, your name changes to cadet, and that will continue through the military ball that's scheduled for February 18th. During the blue phase, you'll be preparing for leadership roles that will come to you as a sophomore in your second year with the Corps, and it ends with the second half of the Caldwell March on April 23rd. And as you would expect, during each of these phases, you'll be getting increased responsibilities, but with that will come increased privileges. Okay, so many of you out there might be wondering, well, what should I expect for New Cadet Week? So let's start with the fact that we'll probably be getting up pretty early in the morning and heading off to breakfast to make sure that we've got great energy levels for the rest of the day. Once we've got breakfast under our belts, we'll be heading out to do some training and orientation. Well, by the time we finish that morning sessions, it'll be time for a really good lunch, rebuild that energy level, and head back out for, you guessed it, some more training and orientation. You might see a pattern forming here. Well, as we wrap up toward the end of the late afternoon, it'll be time for dinner. And since there's still a few good hours left in the day, we'll do a bit more training and orientation before we bring people in to take care of hygiene, things like showers, foot checks, and those kinds of things, and making sure that we're ready to have lights out by 10 p.m. Now, typical week. Let's kind of look at sort of what in general you can expect during the academic year. So, depending upon what track you're in, what ROTC you may be affiliated with, or VPI, that'll determine the days of the week and what time you'll be doing physical training activities. Regardless of that, all cadets will be ready for formation at 7:30 in the morning and ready to start the day. You'll notice on Mondays that you should be signed up for Management 1945. That's the cadet class for all first-year cadets. We'll be covering lots of different topics, and many of those will be related to how to make the transition successfully from high school academics to collegiate level academics. And that ECQ, that represents evening call to quarters, or time very specifically set aside for you to study. Now, during the week, we'll have core labs that are scheduled for Tuesdays and Thursdays. That'll be related to both the core as well as the ROTC programs. And there'll be some first-year cadet activities that typically take place during the week. Every evening during the week, you'll see that we have, again, evening call to quarters, 4 hours for each of the first-year cadets. And that does not have to necessarily be spent in your room, although most do, but you can do it at places like the library, labs where you may be having some classes and things like that. So as we roll into the end of the week, we'll have a bit of training during red phase, and then Saturdays are going to be filled with things like training, but also home football games, which we'll talk more about. And in the spring, there'll be more free time. We also, you'll see, have evening call to quarters on Sunday evenings to make sure that we're ready for classes on Monday. And the rest of the time that you see there in green is basically your class time, your study time, your personal time. And I always try to insert here that no parents should be receiving a call from a new cadet saying, I don't have enough time. It really comes down to how you manage all that green space that you see here on the slide. And we'll help you learn how to do that. So, expect some core and ROTC training on all weekends prior to Thanksgiving, but family passes are available on all weekends following training and whenever we have closed events. And I'll go through the calendar here in just a little while. You might have picked up on the fact that we've got a pretty heavy focus on academic excellence. It is going to be a transition from high school to college level academics, and so we want to help you do that successfully because it's important to start off strong. If you're in the ROTC programs, the commissioning sources, or even in the citizen leader track, potential employers focus heavily on your academic performance, mainly measured through your GPA. And so we have a number of academic success initiatives, from classes on how to take tests, tutoring that'll be available in the barracks, reverse engineering your syllabuses for the semester, evening call to quarters, which I've already mentioned, and you're going to have upperclassmen who are going to step forward and be willing to be coaches for the various majors that we have within the Corps. So how is that working out? Well, if you want to look at the statistics, you'll see here that we set a new record this last semester with the average Corps GPA being a 3.34. That's over 9 years where the Corps average GPA has never gone below a 3.0. And I was very pleased to send letters home to 763 cadets and their families for achieving that 3.0 or greater, even 46 cadets who achieved a perfect 4.0. All right, so let's talk about getting ready, how to use the summer to your advantage. And it begins first and foremost with your new cadet guide. And when I say make sure you have completely read it, I'm talking to the new cadets here. Certainly parents, family members will be interested, but new cadets, this is your responsibility to read this, understand it, take notes, and be taking the steps necessary to be ready to go in August. So one of the things that you can probably do while the summer months are going by is to start hydrating, getting into good habits of keeping yourself well hydrated. We're going to be doing lots of physical activities, and we don't do caffeine during New Cadet Week. So if you're used to, a double espresso lattes in the morning, this is probably the time to wean yourself off of those. You also want to make sure that you arrive in good physical condition. So work yourself up this summer to maybe a 1.5 mile run, doing push-ups, planks, sit-ups, those kinds of things, so that you're ready for the challenges that lie ahead. 2 books that we want to encourage you to get and read, because they will be part of the syllabus discussions that we'll be having during the fall semester, is Leading with Honor by Prisoner of War Lee Ellis and Make Your Bed. And I think you'll find both of those to be very, very helpful to you during your first year. And for Make Your Bed, certainly during New Cadet Week. And last but not least, you need to study the guide-on. Now, this small book is something that you're going to be issued physically when you arrive in August, but it's going to be available on our website under the Resources tab. This information we think is so critical that we'll expect you to have memorized most of it. So if you had a place to start, I'd recommend getting to know cadet ranks so that you can be able to properly address and recognize upper-class cadets as they're working with you. Again, that'll be available online on our website under the Resources tab. All right, some other things. You're going to be receiving information on how to complete measurements for your uniforms. Now, this is going to be available on Canvas, so new cadets, this is where you need to go and to pick out that information. There'll even be some helpful videos on how to take those measurements. This is going to be due back to us here at Virginia Tech no later than June 15th. That's going to allow us to have your uniforms ready in your closets when you move in. Now, I might take this opportunity to say that there is not going to be a traditional summer orientation at the university, but we understand that they are going to be offering some campus tours. These are half-day events during the summer, and you must sign up for slots on the admissions website when that becomes available. And our pitch to you is, if you are coming for those, let's also take advantage of the fact that you're here and sign up on Canvas and our website under the heading of Visit, where we can actually do the measurements here in our tailor shop. You'll get fitted not only for the uniform, but boots and shoes, which you'll be able to take home with you to break in your feet over the few weeks that you'll have them. And the ROTCs and some of our core offices will have a representative available should you have any questions or issues with paperwork that you'd like to resolve in person. Either way, we want to make sure that we've got those measurements and that we've done everything we can to make sure that we have your uniforms ready. If you can't join us in the summer, no worries. We will be issuing your boots and shoes when you arrive here in August. Now, some people ask me, is there a secret or a key to success? And we say we believe that there actually is. And here it is. Focus on helping your roommate and your classmates make the right choice at all times, as well as yourself. This is about learning to look out for one another and to develop the habit of always doing the right thing. In many ways, when you look at the term ut prosum, that I may serve, embedded within that is this notion that it is about serving others. So come prepared to help your roommate and your classmates be successful. They'll be doing the same for you. All right, well, now we want to shift gears to a very important part of the briefing we call Operation Light Load, and you'll understand why we call it that very shortly. And this is important not just for new cadets, but for those members of your family who may be coming with you during the move-in process in August. What we're trying to do, ladies and gentlemen, is avoid pictures like this that you might see on other parts of campus because you don't need to bring a lot of stuff. In fact, our best advice to you is to use the packing list in your new cadet guide, not last year's, your new cadet guide, and bring just those items that are on the list. You don't need to bring civilian clothes because you're not going to be wearing civilian clothes until later in the year. So focus in on that packing list and just bring what's in the new cadet guide. All right, so let's turn to move-in day. And you're going to see here that we have very carefully planned this out because we'll be moving your entire class in roughly 4 hours' time. So you're going to get instructions in Canvas, new cadets, on scheduling the time that you are going to be pulling in. And we really treat this like a NASCAR pit stop. So it's very important that you arrive on time, do what we tell you to do, and then move the car out of the way to make room for the next car to come in. All right, you'll be arriving and checking in. We want you to ensure that the boxes, large containers, items are well marked with your name, the company, the room, and building information prior to arrival. That way, if something gets misplaced, we can make sure it gets to where it needs to go. Now, once you've pulled in, you drop off your belongings and then immediately move the car onto parking. You'll come back to your items shortly to move them into the buildings, but the idea is drop things off, move the car. For new cadets, you're going to be proceeding on to Torgerson Hall. This is where you're going to begin your in-processing, receiving materials, and a few things that we'll hand out to you in the line, and then coming back to your room after you're done. So families, you have just figured out that you're going to be the one moving those items into the rooms. Those new cadets are going to join up with you later. So this is all the more important reason that you need to come with only those things that are on the packing list so you don't have to do a lot of extra work on what could be a somewhat warm day. Now, gentlemen, you should arrive already with a 0 haircut. And ladies, please see the new cadet guide for hair information and standards. All right, so let's talk of sort of the sequencing and kind of give you a view here from the sky as to how this process works. We start out by identifying two main arteries, Main Street and Alumni Mall. That's that 2-lane road that you see there. And the objectives here on the upper quad are Pearson Hall West and Pearson Hall East. So you're going to arrive coming up on Main Street and hit the check-in point when you turn in. They're then going to direct you to one of two unload areas, the circle area that you see there in front of the Moss Arts Center, or nose-in parking that'll be along Alumni Mall. So once you've pulled into those areas, new cadet, you're going to head down to Torgerson Hall while your parents or family members are unloading the car. Once that's done, we're going to park the car. And so let's talk about that parking sequence. Once you've unloaded, you're now going to proceed toward the pylons, which are down there in the lower 1/3 of the map that you see here. And the idea is we want to get you turned around so you're heading back towards Main Street. Once you've arrived at the light there, we're going to make a left turn, followed by another left turn, and you're going to be proceeding then to the North End Center parking garage where you'll be able to park. Once you've got the car parked there, that's when you're going to return to your items and go ahead and continue the move-in process. Now, some cadets, new cadets, are going to be living down in what we call the lower quad in Main Eggleston Hall. So your sequence is basically the same in terms of turning off Main Street, letting the person know where you're headed, and they will then direct you to go on down to the pylons at the end of the road, turn right, and proceed around the drill field. Now, this is a one-way road, so it's not too hard, and you will be arriving along nose-in parking in front of Main Eggleston Hall that you see here. From there, again, it's the same thing. New cadets, you're going to head up there to the Torgeson Hall, and for the parking, you just use the same parking sequence that we talked about previously, where you head back to the North End Center garage, and then return to go ahead and get everything moved into the rooms. So let's recap what we've talked about. First, it's important to make sure that you get that notification on the 6th of August or that time frame to get your room, your building, your unit, and your roommate and make contact. Between now and move-in day, we're going to give you even more specific guidance and procedures that we'll have for that day. And even beyond that, we'll be hosting some webinars where you can actually tune in live, ask questions, and make sure that there is absolute clarity on how this process is going to work. So let me cover just a few other items. Sometimes we get a question is, hey, should I bring a car? And the answer is, well, you can, and you can pay a lot of money to park it and never use it. And here's why. Well, first of all, let's kind of get a bird's eye view of the fact that we're going to be living up here, and the only place that students are allowed to park cars is way down here. Now, our cadets kind of joke that the distance between there is something like 814 miles. It's probably not exactly that, but it can feel like a long way. But the important point is first, you're probably not going to be going anywhere by yourself because we want our new cadets to be working as teams and taking care of one another. And second, your Hokey passport, that's the card that you use to charge things at the dining facilities or to use to access your room and your building. That's also your free bus ticket to anywhere that you'd want to go, whether it be in Blacksburg or in nearby Christiansburg. So our recommendation is you can bring a car, but don't. Wait until at least after the first semester to decide whether you really need one. Most don't even bring one until their second year. All right, a few notes that we thought we'd highlight for you that you'll find in your new cadet guide. First of all, we encourage you to have a couple of these multiple outlet strips. Now, all these kinds of certifications you see here, if you go to your local Lowe's or Home Depot, they'll meet all of these requirements. Please note, though, it's no more than 2 per student. Also, a question comes up, hey, could I bring an extension cord? Well, the answer is no, because those can be a fire hazard. So when you're buying these particular multiple outlet strips, get one that has an extra long cord on it in the first place, and that'll take care of all your needs. The fire marshal also asks that please do bring a lamp to do all that good reading that comes with college courses and the like, but please no halogen bulbs or high-intensity lamps that tend to burn hot. All right, so let's talk about now some key dates that you need to be aware of. First and foremost, we're already focused on the 14th of August. That's where we're going to end process the class of 2025. A week later, family members are going to be invited back to witness the new cadet parade. Now, did you notice that I put the emphasis on the word back? That implies you went away. Please don't hang around hiding behind trees and bushes all week. We'll take that as a sign of lack of confidence in your new cadet. So take that time, go have some time amongst yourselves, and then we do invite you back at 10 o'clock on the drill field to witness the new cadet parade. Now, following that parade, our new cadets are going to have family pass, which means that they would be able to leave the campus, go spend the night with you at your hotel, have some time for meals together before returning by 6 p.m. on Sunday. While you're away, magically, all the rest of our upperclassmen are going to be moving in. So that's an important reason why we'd like to encourage you to be off campus from Saturday afternoon until Sunday evening. Now, for any family members who cannot make it back for that parade and weekend, what we'd encourage you to do is have a conversation with the roommate's family and see if they might be willing to adopt a cadet for that weekend. Our goal is that all of our new cadets have a place to go where they can relax and unwind for a little while before getting ready to come back and get started for the first day of class, which starts on the 23rd of August. Now you're going to see that pretty much every single weekend there's something that requires our presence here on campus, whether it be a home football game, which for us is a work day, because the entire Corps marches across the campus down and into the stadium. First year cadets, you will be the ones forming the tunnel that the team enters, and we will also be having a few other parades and things throughout the year, for example, Corps reunion or homecoming. On days where we don't have particular things, you'll probably find that an ROTC program has some things as well. So therefore, don't plan on new cadets coming home until Thanksgiving. However, all families are welcome to come to campus and have family pass after a new cadet's training or other requirements are fulfilled. So those are all things that can be coordinated by your new cadet with their chain of command if you're coming to visit. So I also ought to mention something about our great regimental band, the Heidi Tidies. This is our premier organization and fulfills many roles beyond just supporting the Corps. They really represent the university. In fact, they will generally take one travel experience throughout the year. You'll see here, for example, a shot in the upper right-hand corner of when they performed in the St. Patrick's Day Parade in New York City. Some unique things that come with being a member of the band, in addition to that annual trip, you'll be receiving your room assignments a bit earlier than other people. And because we have such a wonderful alumni organization associated with the band, they are also providing $1,000 stipends for all first-year cadet band members that you can use in any way that you like. A terrific organization that we're so, so proud of. Now, you know, the original Commandant probably didn't have a Facebook page back in 1872, but today I do. So I'd like to encourage you, if you've not already found it, to please do so. You'll see it's facebook.com/CVTCC and click on the like button. That's going to be particularly important to you as we reach New Cadet Week, because we'll be posting pictures throughout the week of activities, and so you can have fun with all the other families that are trying to figure out which one of those people that you see in those pictures is your new cadet. Now, in addition to that page, which is really open to all the public, there's a couple of others that we want to make sure that you're aware of. For our family members, it's important that you please join the VTCC Class of 2025 family page, and you see there the address for that. This is a closed group. It is only for family members of our new cadets in the Class of 25, and that is where you're going to get the official information and answers to your questions. There are some other pages out there, but unfortunately they may not have the most current information, which can change from year to year. So please make sure that you have signed up and have been admitted to this particular page for family members. For new cadets, you have a separate page just for you. And in fact, we'd encourage most of the questions that should be coming from new cadets, because you're adults now, and our expectation is that you're running this show. But keep parents, family members in the loop as you progress and get ready to come. So those are two very important Facebook groups that we need you to sign up for and make sure you can get the information you need. Well, that concludes what I have prepared for you today. Please feel free to go back and re-listen to this. And again, you're going to be getting more information through that new cadet guide and through the webinars and other forums that we'll be sending to you throughout the rest of the summer. So we look forward to you joining us in August, and we look forward to seeing a few of you perhaps this summer if you're coming through. But all in all, we just cannot wait to welcome the class of 2025.